Food delivery riders have risen up. Last time it was Changsha. This time, Sichuan. Just 1 week ago, the streets of Changsha, Hunan, erupted in large-scale protests by food delivery riders. The images, hundreds of couriers with anger and despair intertwined on their faces, are still vivid in people's minds. Then, on December 29th, another wave of protest exploded in Zhejiang, Sichuan. Faced with sealed-off roadblocks and merciless regulations, delivery riders found nowhere to vent their frustration, and their fury finally boiled over. These intense street protests conceal a deep, nationwide crisis. In a country that constantly boasts of miracles upon miracles, the economic winter has pushed the food delivery industry into becoming the only survival path for countless young people, unemployed workers, and those at the very bottom of society. Yet this path is riddled with thorns, every step painfully difficult. By the end of 2025, the accumulated anger has begun spreading rapidly from south to north. A long-suppressed tide of rage has only just begun. Don't miss the next drop. Subscribe and hit the bell. Today, let's talk about the roar from China's grassroots laborers at the end of 2025. Imagine this. Right now, you might be lying on your couch, casually ordering takeout, with a hot meal arriving quickly at your door. But have you ever stopped to think about the delivery rider, braving wind and rain, racing day and night, who is bearing the crushing weight of absurd rules behind the scenes, rules that have pushed many of them to the brink? They are not robots. They have emotions, families, lives, and dreams. Yet today, these grassroots workers are being driven toward collapse by ruthless regulations and harsh performance systems. In this episode, we'll start with the latest flashpoints and gradually peel back the layers of how they struggle to survive within this system. First wave of rage, Zhejiang, Sichuan. Roadblocks torn down, streets blocked by hundreds of riders. Let's start with what just happened. On December 29th, Huashang International City in Zhejiang descended into chaos. The mall suddenly banned delivery riders from entering, triggering mass protests. Hundreds of riders gathered at the mall entrance. Roads were completely jammed with people and electric scooters. Some riders even stood on their vehicles, shouting slogans at the top of their lungs, emotions running high. On December 30th, the X account, Lee Teacher is Not Your Teacher, posted a video stating that, according to multiple insiders, Huashang International City had recently installed fences along all surrounding roads, even sidewalks, making it impossible for delivery e-bikes to pass. If riders chose to detour onto motor vehicle lanes, they risked being stopped by traffic police for illegal riding, facing fines and point deductions. Riders were trapped in a no-win situation. These measures caused massive delays in deliveries. As time dragged on, conflicts erupted between riders and on-site management. Furious riders gathered in protest and roads were blocked. The scene grew increasingly chaotic. Footage from passers-by showed the mall entrance packed with riders, vehicles tangled with crowds, traffic completely snarled. Some riders stood on their scooters, loudly protesting the ban. Online comments flooded in. Last time it was Changsha. This time Sichuan. Where's next? After the Zhang army, now the Sichuan army takes over? After the white paper movement, are we heading toward a delivery revolution? Friends, this is not an isolated incident. This is the explosion of long-suppressed rage. The torch passed from Hunan to Sichuan in an instant. And this fire isn't just burning the streets, it's burning its way into the heart of society. Second wave of rage, Changsha's yellow robe. Thousands of riders lay siege in revolt. To understand all this, we must go back to the Changsha incident, the true fuse that ignited this wave of protests. Between December 22nd and 23rd, something shocking happened at Henglipuli Residential Complex in Macy Lake, Changsha. Property management engaged in blatant double standards. Residents were allowed to ride electric scooters freely, but delivery riders were strictly forbidden from entering. Riders were forced to push their scooters, or even walk, to deliver food. This open discrimination was too much for one Taobao flash delivery rider, who forced his way in and clashed violently with security guards. The news spread like wildfire. Hundreds, eventually thousands, of riders from Meituan, Ele.me, and Taobao rushed to the scene to protest. From daytime blockades at the gates, chanting "Apologize, come out and apologize," to nighttime light parades with horns blaring, the situation escalated. Then came the most unforgettable moment, almost a piece of street performance art. One rider donned a yellow imperial robe, wore a crown, and stood on the back of an electric scooter in a mock imperial inspection pose. The robe bore bold characters: "Why do you not kneel when you see the emperor?" Riders cheered wildly. Onlookers applauded and gave thumbs up. The scene was both carnival and razor-sharp satire of injustice. Police panicked. Large numbers of riot police were deployed, guarding the area overnight. Streetlights were cut off, crowds forcibly dispersed. In the end, 3 riders were arrested, and all live streams were shut down. Netizens voiced support. This is grassroots catharsis. These riders are brave. This uprising in Changsha was not just resistance, it was a declaration. It ignited solidarity among riders nationwide, giving them a sense of collective power. And because of Changsha, the riders in Zhejiang dared to fight back so fiercely. Dilemma 1. New national speed limits. Obey the law and starve, break it, and get fined. What appears sudden is actually a long brewing volcanic eruption. China has tens of millions of delivery riders, hidden pillars of urban life. Yet they live like sandwich filling, crushed from both sides. Let's talk about the new national e-bike standards. Since December 1st, old standard bikes have been banned from sale. New bikes are capped at 25 kilometers per hour. Sounds like safety, right? For riders, it's a death sentence. Platform algorithms are still calibrated for 30-plus kilometer H deliveries. Rider Dehay tested it. During lunch rush, he took 5 orders, obeyed the 25 kilometers per hour limit, no red lights, no wrong way riding. 3 orders were still late by 1 to 2 minutes. 2 late orders mean fines, bad reviews, income collapse. That's why 99.9% of riders refuse to buy new standard bikes. They simply can't keep up. In Shanghai, absurd scenes emerged. Riders switching to bicycles. Meituan helmets, LME boxes strapped to the back, riding 10 hours a day, legs burning, backs breaking. Follow the rules and starve. Break them and face fines or bans. An unsolvable trap. Dilemma 2. Endless hours plus malicious fines equals a deadly cycle. Another nightmare. Brutal working hours combined with constant fines, forming a suffocating death spiral. Many riders start at 6 a.m., work through lunch and dinner rushes, online for 12 to 14 hours, riding for over 10. Why? Stop working, stop earning. Monthly income of 6,000,7000 sounds decent, until electricity, food, rent, and fuel are deducted. To buy baby formula or pay medical bills, bodies are pushed like machines. The result? Chronic illness, stomach problems, herniated discs, spinal damage. Social Security? Mostly empty promises. In 2025, when JD entered food delivery, it promised full social insurance. Reality? Deductions without coverage. Worst of all, fatigue collides with enforcement. To avoid lateness, riders speed, run lights, ride against traffic, then get slapped with massive fines. On December 29th, in Shenzhen's Fuxian district, Meituan riders were summoned for traffic safety training. At the site, a giant scale. Bikes were weighed, almost all exceeded limits. Each rider fined 2,000 yuan, half a month's income gone. Netizens raged. This is a trap to harvest the poor. Dilemma 3. Platforms shift costs, turning everyone against each other. Platforms now claim to be humane. No direct fines for late orders. Instead, they use order restrictions. Meituan service score drops, limited to 50 orders a day. Ali, Yumi, dispatch suspended for hours. JD, repeated delays, account banned. Income collapses. Costs are shifted outward. Riders versus merchants, riders versus consumers, merchants versus consumers. Platforms stay neutral, collecting commissions. Riders say bitterly. Fines were painful but honest. Order limits are slow murder. Economic winter reflected. China becomes the world's largest delivery market. By 2025, China's daily delivery orders exceed 200 million, market size over 1.5 trillion yuan. State media call it a miracle. Reality? Algorithmic exploitation, speed caps, discrimination, predatory fines. The booming delivery market is actually a refuge for the unemployed. Riders now exceed 14 million, with 61.8% under 35. Many are college graduates, overseas returnees, even actors, unable to find dignified work. Beijing's rider workforce grew nearly 50%, while restaurant profits collapsed 90%. Unemployed youth. The top risk of 2026. Insiders say unemployed youth protests are now seen as 2026's greatest risk. Authorities call the internet the first battlefield, increasing surveillance and control. With fiscal tightening, business closures, and no future in sight, pressure builds. When it erupts, online or in the streets, it may be uncontrollable. Friends, the truth is simple. China's grassroots aren't unwilling to follow rules. The rules don't let them live. Speed limits tell them to slow down. Platforms force them to speed up. Social security is empty talk. Fines are brutally real. These protests are only a microcosm of millions of unemployed youth. By the end of 2025, the rage is spreading. From south to north, From silence to explosion. This is only the beginning. The next city, which one will it be?